Hi, welcome back to GUI AI. Today we are looking at how to get analysis dashboards for your Copilot based on the integration that you've made. So here I've got the GUI marketing support bot once again. When I go into the integrations, I have one integration made on web. You may have yours on WhatsApp or voice. And at the bottom of this, you'll see two pieces. One, you'll see a button that says analytics, and you will also see something here at the bottom called analysis workflows. Now, there are two parts to this, and I will start off with looking at view analytics. So if I click on this here, it'll take me to a new page and it will be populated by all of the details about that particular Copilot integration. So here I just made the bot right now and I've tested it with about 14 questions. And you can see those details here: when it was created, when it was last updated, who are the users, and then of course trends around that. So you notice that there are some analytics that show you what the questions were about, like pricing and product, what workflows people asked about, and then of course more detailed set of tables which show you all the conversations that happened. Here you'll see a filter for all the messages that were sent. So these are all the messages and these are all the user answers. And then of course you can also see that there's a section for feedback and answered successfully or unsuccessfully. So I'll show you a little bit more about all of these. So now what I'll do is, just for us to test it, we will head over to the web widget for this, and I will ask a question, first starting with a unsuccessful answer, which means that you asked a question that was unrelated and it was not able to answer it correctly. So let's say, what is the weather in So obviously this bot is not supposed to answer that. So it should give a response which is kind of similar and say, I'm here to help you about GUI related questions and not this. So it's kind of a unsuccessfully answered. So now if I were to go back here and refresh, and this was our latest message, what is the weather in Udaipur like today? And it should turn up in the answered unsuccessfully. So hopefully it's done that. And if I go down here, you'll see that's answered unsuccessfully. And there was also another question from a user that said, what is this? And also answered unsuccessfully. So this is really useful to just check if people are asking questions that are not being answered. Sometimes they may also be a situation where you have asked a relevant question as a user, but you still do not get an answer. So then it helps to iterate on top of the tool and make sure that the Copilot is answering well. And similarly, we also have a section for feedback, negative and positive. So I'll ask a new question. How do I use the AI animation tool? So it's given me a response, and you can see these little thumbs up, thumbs down buttons. So, okay, I was sort of satisfied with the answer and I gave a feedback of thumbs up. Great. So now if I go back to the integrations and I refresh, and if I were to look at it in the messages, you'll notice at the end of the table that there should be a thumbs up in the feedback column here. So basically this will turn up in the filter of feedback positive. So great ways to check how your bot is doing, how users are responding to it. Now this is the core of all the basic data that's available. Now we will look at how we can make our analysis a little more richer and more qualitative to ensure that we are able to get a quick glance of how things are moving, where we can improve, and not have to currently go into the granularities of the tables that we have here. So how do we do this? So this requires a simple LLM script which will allow us to take each of the user's queries and the corresponding assistant answer and make a categorized JSON with it, which basically means it will give us structured data of that particular Q&A and create a chart around it. So what this means is, so if you notice here that there's a section called analysis workflow. If you remember, we just spoke about it in the integration section. So at the bottom under your web chatbots preview. There is a section for view analytics. That's how we went to the analytics. And there is also the section called analysis workflow. So this hooks up a simple LLM script. And how that works is, I'll just open it from here. How that works is, it says that your job is to analyze the incoming chat messages between GUI and GUI users and the support bot, and just do a categorization. So the categorization is answer missing or found, and then what subject it was about, what was the product workflow that we asked about, and whether it got the answer or not. So answer missing or answer found. So here you'll notice in the subject answer, we have some categories like, did the user ask about product workflow? Was it just a salutation like hi, hello, namaste? Was it a question related to pricing, credits, deletion of account, or something that was unrelated? So in this context, when we want to explain this to the LLM, we first give it a few examples. So this is our sort of few short example section where we say, hi, and the assistant says, hello, I am GUI and such. And the analysis comes back as workflow. There's nothing here. Subject, it was a salutation. The question was asked in English. Finally, the assistant found the answer. So similarly, I've done a few more examples here, like what LLMs do. Does the AI Copilot support? So of course, this is a LLM related workflow. And then how do I delete my account? Again, there's no workflow, but the subject is related to delete account, which we mentioned here on the top. And then I did like 4 examples like this. And then finally, I gave it a last part where the formula is still the same. It says conversation and then user and assistant. And then in the analysis part, it just puts a colon and it's blank. So here we add our Jinja templating variables. So for the user message, we said, okay, how do I upgrade my GUI pricing plan? And then this was the assistant's answer to upgrade the pricing plan, etc., etc. So why have we done this? We've done this so that when this LLM script is hooked up to your analysis for your integration, every single question and answer will be replaced within this variable template. So every time the new question comes in, it's going to populate this section and accordingly give the answer to that particular question. So if I hit run now, it's going to give me a response based on this particular Q&A in the variable template variable here. So you see that it says workflow not applicable, subject, yes, of course, is related to pricing, and then language and so on, right? And then, of course, I save this particular workflow. And I've already added one here, but you will need to probably add yours here as well. So once you've added it, we ask a few questions to the chatbot through our integration. So here I've already asked a few questions like, how do I use the animation tool? And what is the weather in Udaipur? So this becomes an unrelated question. So let me add another question around how can I use the Copilot, right? And then we'll ask one more question around pricing. So then we'll have these 2 updated questions as well. How can I upgrade my pricing? Right? So these are the 2 questions I've asked. So now if I go back to my dashboard and I hit refresh, you'll notice that I have 18 questions now. And if I go down to the bottom, you will see that we can now check how this works. So, and now that the analysis script is here, we will just say add, and then all of the questions that we asked, like subject, workflow, language, assistant, which correspond to this JSON here. So we've got subject, workflow, language, and assistant. These get captured as in a drop down. So for example, we want to ask subject, and then I want to see display it as a pie chart, and then I'll have, okay, 7 questions, or 63% of them were about product. 1 was unrelated, one category was unknown, and then 2 were about pricing. And then I add another one, which can be, say, around language. So here I'll add language. I'll say again pie chart. And then of course, all of the questions are in English. So I'll hit save now. So often in our analysis, we find that many people asking questions in different languages to the GUI bot. So I'm going to ask the Copilot a question in Spanish in the new chat, and I'm going to say how do I use the GUI Copilot, but it's in Spanish. And then now if I refresh this here, it should be able to recognize the user language as Spanish. So that one count has come through in Spanish. As an example, we thought it would be good to show you how we are running it for our health bot here. So this is Nurse Julie, which is a voice chat bot example that we've got that runs on WhatsApp, where the health worker can add the details of the patient and why they had visited the patient's home, and it kind of stores that as a JSON and picks it up when required. So we've also integrated this in the same way with our analytics tool. So of course you can see all of the details that are there about the messaging trends, and then we put a section in the analysis results for simple things like, was the primary patient's health okay, was it a monthly visit, or was it a special like house call, what was the purpose of the visit, and what are the common health concerns that kind of came up through the conversations with the bot. So here you can see, of course, that there is a sort of count between if the health was okay or not, unknown if it was not captured by the example through the health worker, and then was it a regular checkup, was it something that was specifically called in, like they called in the health worker, and then what were the health concerns they had, were they healthy, no, was it about AIDS, was it flu, high fever, digestive issues, and so on. So super useful in your context. And as you're progressing with your Copilot, as you're improving it, iterating it, you'll start seeing that this dashboard is going to be the place where you can quickly have a sense of how you can improve your Copilot and work with it and make sure that the theory of change formats are clearly reflected within your Copilot and the efforts that you're making towards this accelerator. Thank you.